Yeah, if you ever wanted to know how to not be an influencer and get brands to work with you, this is it. Yeah. I don't want to make this video. Alright guys, today we are talking about the Vortex AMG UH-1 Gen 2. So, quick little unboxing. You got your manual about their warranty, past inspection, that's cool. And then, there you go. AMG UH-1 Gen 2, that's neat. Comes with a little lens cloth cleaner, and that's about it. Over there, don't need any of that. I'm gonna be honest, I have dreaded making this review. And to explain that, I wanna tell a little backstory. So really quick, I went to school to be a teacher. So I was gonna be a high school teacher. And I remember in one of the classes, one of the things that one of the professors told us, he said, you know, when people send their kids to school, that's the best they can do. They can't go back and make a better kid. That's the best that they have to offer. And I feel like when people put out products, it's like their kid, you know, because somebody put a lot of time and energy and effort into this, probably sleepless nights. And then for somebody like me to come along and say, I don't like it, it sucks. But that's the truth. And let's get into why. I'm not gonna bore you with specs. I'll leave a link down below to their website. You can go check out all the specs there. I just wanna highlight a couple of big points and then go over my experience with it. So I've had it for a few weeks, almost a month now. So we had it before, a couple weeks before Average Joe's. I used it leading up. I used it at Average Joe's. If you see any of the photos or stuff like that, you'll see this on there. I was really excited about it because there was a lot of hype kind of behind the scenes about this. We had known it was coming for a while since like SHOT Show. We knew that it was gonna be night vision capable. We knew it was gonna have a better reticle. So I was really intrigued and interested to see what it was gonna look like. And you know, honestly, it is better. The reticle it's bright, it's clear, it's crisp. It's designed to where you can zero at your center dot, and then with the triangle at the bottom, you have two holdovers with the point of the triangle and then the lower, the bottom line of it. It's a great reticle, I love it. It's clear, crisp, bright. I've never even had to use the full brightest setting on it. So that goes to show how bright it is. And even in like daylight bright outside when we were at Average Joe's or other range days when it's like high noon, you know, sun's out, it's blaring, it's reflecting off of everything, still didn't need the brightest setting. So that goes to show just the quality of the reticle. They put a lot of effort into that, and it looks great, it really does. So what don't I like about it? Now, since we're talking about the reticle, one thing I will say is that it does have a little bit of cometing. And what I mean by that is that when you take the sight or you're transitioning from one target to another, it kind of streaks almost. But in this case, it doesn't quite streak like other ones do, but you kind of get this like 80s like jumpy vibe where you get like the reticle like moving really quick, and it's kind of hard to explain without seeing it. But I think when we see this in video, often it's because the shutter speed is either too fast or too slow, and the eye is moving faster, or the eye is reading things faster than the digital processor is. And I think in this case, the refresh rate is probably too slow, and that's why we're getting this cometing effect. That was one thing. It's not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker. It is just something that is a little distracting and takes a little getting used to. The other two things is that it's big and it's bulky. It looks like something out of the future, but it just, especially putting it on a Unity riser, it takes up a lot of space in the gun, and it is very, very big. And they boast that it has a larger field of view, which is great, it does, but at the same time, it also has a longer body than its direct competitor, which is the EOTech. I mean, there's no hiding it. This is a direct competitor with EOTech. It's a holographic sight. Being that the body is longer, you get the tubing effect. Because the front isn't wider, you do get that tubing effect, unlike the MRO, right? So the MRO is one of the ones where you don't quite get that tubing effect, but you do get it on this. So while the field of view, theoretically, yes, is bigger, because of the tubing effect, it isn't really much bigger. I find that the EOTech gives you a wider field of view. You get less of the body and the housing interfering with what you see. So that was kind of a bit of a letdown for me. If we put them side by side, you can see, as far as footprint goes, it's about the same. So they both sit at lower 1/3. They both have quick release mounts built into the body. One thing that is nice on the UH-1, the Gen 2, you have a toolless battery door, which theoretically the EOTech does too, but we've all had issues trying to get those off before in the past, some of us lesser men. Unlike the EOTech, you do have your buttons on the back, as opposed to the EOTech's night vision one is on the side. This is where I think you're gonna see the biggest difference, is this right here. And this is the side profile. You see how much longer the housing is here, and that really affects what you see. And then here it's much shorter, so you're seeing less of that, again, less of that tubing effect. Another thing they boasted about too in their product release was that it's a snag-free design. But I found that with it jetting forward like this at an angle, slings and other things tend to actually get caught on here more, as opposed to the EOTech, which I had run for a while. It just kind of catches and bounces off. Even though it's bigger, it is actually lighter. So that was one of the things they had boasted about, is it's lighter than their competitors. It is 11 ounces. The EOTech is 11.2 ounces. So is it a big difference? Not really. Also, they're comparative in price. The EOTech's gonna run you about $725, and then the Vortex is gonna run you $799. So you're looking at about a $75 difference. For me, like looking at it, is it worth it to spend that $75, $100 more? Depending on, you can get on street price cheaper, but is it worth the higher price tag, given that it's lighter? You do have a brighter reticle, but it is a little bit bigger and is a little bit bulkier. And I think the biggest thing that you're gonna get out of that separates Vortex, especially from a lot of other manufacturers when it comes to optics, is their warranty. They have probably the best warranty when it comes to optics in the industry. Their VIP lifetime warranty, a lot of times it's no questions asked, and they're great guys. I love Vortex, and that was so hard for me to talk bad about this, is that the people at Vortex are amazing. I've worked with their marketing department, their creative, their sales team. We did a whole video with them at SHOT Show with TRIARC, and they're all just amazing people. They love the industry. They really are passionate about what they do. They want to bring out good products. So it was hard for me to want to say bad things about this, but to me personally, is it worth the higher price than the EOTech? And for me, I would say no, it's not, because it doesn't really solve any of the issues the EOTech had. And this is the biggest one for me, is that battery life. So EOTech says their battery life on the newer models is about 1,000 hours. Now, nowhere could I find on Vortex website, in their digital manual, in the manual that came with the box, or anywhere else, I couldn't find a listed, here's what our battery life is. And that was hard for me, because I'm like, if you're putting out a product that's better than this and boasts a better battery life, then why not put that out there? And the only place that I could find was like a third-party site, and they listed it as like 1,500 hours, which if that's the case, that's awesome. That's a substantial improvement over the EOTech, but it's still not at that Aimpoint, Trijicon, others out there that have, 2, 3, 5-year battery life. So I think given the size of it, one thing I would have liked to seen in the UH-1, and maybe we'll see this in a Gen 3, but some sort of accelerometer in it that would turn the optic on automatically, so that as it sits for a few hours, it'll turn off. And then once you pick it up and it moves and it detects that movement, it automatically turns on. And I think that would extend the battery life. That's something that a lot of people have asked for out of EOTech for a while, and we've never gotten it. So maybe Vortex will listen, and this would be something we get in a future update. But I think that would, for me, at $75 more than the EOTech, if it has that accelerometer in there, I could overlook the size of it and the tubing and all that without it. Easy, super easy. The size of it doesn't bother me as much. We're used to shooting on smaller dots, right? So we're used to shooting on aim points. We're getting more and more red dots on pistols. So we shoot out of things like Holosuns and RMRs and the SRO, and Vortex has their own line with the Viper. So big windows aren't really as big a deal as we thought they were. We're used to shooting out of smaller windows. Typically we hold those further out than the optics on our rifle. So does the window need to be bigger? Maybe not. I mean, maybe they could make it a little smaller and it wouldn't bother anybody. But I think putting that accelerometer in there would be a big selling point. If it had that, boasted a better battery life, turned on and off automatically, still night vision capable, I think it'd be a great optic. I mean, I would say, yeah, ditch the EOTech and get it. The last thing I want to talk about is durability. So I think what we've learned in the industry, or what we should have learned, is that no one person can speak on whether an item is durable. You've got to take a larger sample base to determine and understand if a product is actually durable. For example, so the EOTech, I've run this in the tactical games. I've run it at Average Joe's. You've seen it on my rifle for however long, for a year now. I've never had any issues with it, right? It's all banged up, it's scratched up, it's beat up. I've dropped it, I've thrown it. It's been knocked over. Never had any issues. Glass didn't shatter, didn't have any issues with losing the dot inside or anything like that. Battery life's been great, but that's just my experience. The guys that I shoot with that are on a SWAT team, their SWAT team doesn't allow these anymore because they've had 3 go dead on operations. And so they said, nope, not doing it anymore. So if you just take mine and I say, well, I've had a great experience, then you would think that it's a reliable optic. But other people have had a different experience. So we've got to take the full sample size to determine, is this a reliable optic, right? And with EOTech, it's still on the fence. The newer generations seem to be doing better. The older ones, obviously there were issues, right? We all know about that. But the newer ones seem to be doing better, but time will tell. And I think the same is true for the Vortex. I didn't have any issues. I used it leading up to Average Joe's. I used it at Average Joe's. I've been using it for a few weeks now, and I haven't had any issues personally, but that's just one sample size. I think time will tell. You know, I can go, if I want to break it, I can break it. You know, I'll just go drop it off a parking garage like I did the SRO. But time will tell if this optic is reliable or not. But given Vortex history, I think everything points us to lead that it will be a reliable optic. We just need that sample size and that data, that information to determine, yes, it is or it isn't. It's a good optic, it is. And if you're on the market and you're between this and the EOTech and you're worried about EOTech's warranty, I think the big selling point is Vortex's warranty. But if you're looking for something that's light, something that isn't bulky, you're trying to keep your gun very minimalistic, maybe this isn't the route to go. Maybe look at something like an Aimpoint or an MRO or a Holosun, something like that. But if you don't mind the size, I think it is definitely a viable option. And given that it is a holographic sight, guys, if you're looking at night vision, this would also be a great option for you. Those tend to do better, and then the bigger window is a little bit easier to see if that's how you shoot under night vision. I'm not telling you should. I'm not saying this is how you should do or shouldn't do it. I'm just saying if you do it that way. A good friend of mine says that God gave us lasers for a reason. Use that information how you will. But there you go. That's my quick take on the AMG UH-1 Gen 2. If you have any questions about it, you feel like I've left something out, leave it in the comments below and I'll answer those. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. Karate chop that bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Where's the EOTech? I got it out. Where is it? Hang on. Where's, oh, it's right here. And then, all right, let's see what we got. I think I know what this is, but let's find out. Oh, they look so good. Look at them. That's version 2. That's awesome. That came out really cool.